I just want to eat food all the time.
Luckily, your body requires it. So we are on our way to our friend Emma's house to help them make some more plant-based meals. Do you only collect half tablespoons?
I have half a teaspoon as well.
Stick around to see how it goes.
I'm fascinated by all of this. I am all about throw everything in a pot or a pan and call it dinner.
Do you know how I figure out a tablespoon?
You just dump as much in as you think is a tablespoon.
Nope.
It smells so good.
We're gonna make the sauce that brings all of the tofu fried rice flavors together.
Your stirring technique is impressive.
Really good.
Oh, tofu has a whole new meaning.
It smells so good. Very satisfying.
Who wants to be a test dummy?
Me!
It's just mashed up bananas and nuts. Blown away.
Now we're gonna move on to making the chocolate chip cookie dough.
Does it taste good?
Yeah.
Right? And Annie doesn't like anything. Greetings and welcome back to PB with Jay. Here on the channel we do a lot of things like our own recipes, cookbook reviews, but one new thing I've been doing is going into other people's houses and showing them how to cook whole food plant-based. If you like this kind of video, please let us know in the comments down below. The other thing you can do down there is give us a shout out and let us know where in the world you are watching from. A lot of people have been doing that, so I want to say hello back to a few of you. Stephanie from Florida, Tim from New Zealand, Jennifer from Texas, Ruth from Wisconsin. I never say Wisconsin. Did I get it right? Kathy from Victoria, British Columbia, and Jenny from Southern California. If you would like a shout out, let us know in the comments below where you're watching from, who you are, and anything else you want to let us know about our channel, this video. I mean, we'll take anything, and we'd love to write back. Today, I'm visiting some family friends who already eat pretty darn healthy, but want to learn how to amp up their skills. So in this video, you're going to see me make 4 different recipes, but also answer a lot of questions that Emma has along the way. A lot of questions you've been asking me in the comments down below, so this is a good little tips and trick guide as well. Before we get into the cooking part, I sat down with Emma to see exactly what it is her family needs. So thanks for agreeing to let me come and play with you and your family in your kitchen. So I know we've talked in the past before just about you and what you're aiming to do and eating certain ways, but what is it particularly like you want to maybe either learn or like try to incorporate into your meals going forward that I can maybe help out with?
So I think the biggest goal, because we don't eat a lot of meat twice a month, that's
wow.
Like a heavy month for us. I don't think we consume enough protein.
Okay.
I want to stretch my knowledge base on things to do with tofu. I gravitate to recipes where it's like throw it in a pot and it all lives together, like sheet pans, or like basically everything's together in one pot, or something is in the oven baking while I'm doing something on the stovetop, where like both things can happen at the same time, so that the meal prep is taking me from like starting the meal prep to when dinner is served is probably around the 40-minute mark. And Neil does not like mushrooms, but that doesn't, I cook mushrooms all the time because I love them. I just chop them big so that he can
pick them out.
Yeah.
Well, that's like the same as Annie. And the trick for that is I either chop them big so she can pick them out, or I grind them down so small she doesn't even know they're there.
Yeah. That's like when I like Dave and Neil, anytime I mention kale, they're like, bleh. And I always put it in my potato leek soup, but I whiz the whole thing up and nobody knows that it's in there.
Maybe like we'll make like some kind of a dinner that you can have that night, a dessert for sure. But what I also want to try to do is just come in with some other things that we can make that you can either put away in the freezer for the next day, like maybe another deal. So we'll try to do 2 or 3 things anyway.
Oh, that's great.
Another good dessert that we can make you guys that can actually just be like kind of like a treaty snack that it's healthier than it seems, is raw cookie dough made from chickpeas.
I'm yes.
Yeah, because that's something we can make and you can just try it, but you can also just keep it in the fridge, and it's the kind of thing that you can have as opposed to, so instead of having like, if you wanted to have like apple slices with it, you can like use that as like a bit of a dip too.
How
Emma-
close is the camera going to get to my stove top? Because it's embarrassing and I can't ever get the grease out of it.
You know, it's going to be awesome. So
What?
I just got a sponsor that wants to send me like a stovetop induction. So I'm just going to bring that and use that in the video. So we don't even need to use your stovetop if you don't want to. We like London Sunshine. That's where we got our dehydrator from. And it's awesome. Holy, look at this thing. Let's look at it, take it in now where it's all shiny and new. Until it gets splattery and gross and turns into a real kitchen appliance. So one of the things I know about induction is that apparently it can bring things up to temperature very quickly, including water. So I'm kind of curious to see how fast it can boil a pot of water. I'm not kidding, that water is already warm and this thing has only been on for maybe 30 seconds. That's like 2 minutes in and it's already starting to bubble a little bit.
Few minutes later.
And it's boiling beautifully. This was like 4 to 5 minutes maybe.
Can I touch it?
No, it's boiling water. Andy, that's not safe. This thing's kind of awesome. So I'm gonna pack this up and I'm gonna take it with me to cook at our friend Emma's house and teach her how to make some plant-based meals for her family. Now, before we get into the cooking section of this video, I want to quickly tell you about this video's sponsor, London Sunshine. They sent us this awesome induction cooktop that we are going to use the heck out of today. So for those that don't know, induction stoves are pretty much the superheroes of the kitchen. They heat up incredibly fast, so they cut down your cooking time just by doing that alone. They are incredibly precise. So you have complete control over your temperature, and when you need to change it, it responds like that. Now here's the cool part. These things are incredibly safe. Unlike traditional gas stoves that use like an open flame, or other ovens that use like those red hot coil things that I burnt myself on several times as a child, induction stoves heat up your pots and pans using magnetism. It's like magic in the kitchen. So what's that mean? It means that while the cookware itself gets hot, the surface stays cool. So no more accidental burns, no more gas leaks, and no more worrying about leaving the stovetop on. Plus, they're energy efficient, so you're not only saving time, but you're saving our planet. The planet says thank you. Now, if you're interested in this product, London Sunshine has given me an awesome 15% off for the rest of the month of November if you use discount code PBWithJ. If you're watching this video after November, don't worry about it. The code is still good for 10% off, so you can check that out. Like I said, description down below. It's perfect for a holiday gift for this upcoming season, but it's also great for any time of the year. Now let's get to cooking with Emma and her family. So we've got a bunch to do. So we have 3 sous chefs here. It's gonna be running around like a bit of a madhouse in here. But what we're gonna make is we're gonna make 4 things. Okay, we're gonna make 2 dinners for you. One for another night, one for tonight. Like a high protein snack, because you mentioned you wanted to make sure you guys are getting enough protein. And a dessert that you can make in, maybe we'll timer ourselves, but you should be able to make it in like 5 minutes. We're gonna be jumping around in between all of these different recipes because different things need to happen at different times, so it all comes together. So it's gonna be lasagna, it's gonna be tofu fried rice, and so that's gonna show you, I know you've done some shredding with tofu already?
Like twice.
Twice, okay. So this is another way to show you how to use tofu like that, and then we're gonna make a tofu ricotta as well. So it's a good replacement for ricotta cheese, which you can use in anything you want to use it in. You need a tablespoon?
Well, you can have half a tablespoon.
I will use it twice. Another half a tablespoon. Do you only collect half tablespoons?
I have half a teaspoon as well.
So we've already got some rice going, so we won't need that just yet, but that's good that that's going. The first thing we're gonna do is we're going to bake the tofu for the tofu fried rice, because it needs time to bake in the oven, and while that's happening, we'll do other things.
Okay.
2 of these tofus need to be cut open and drained, and just kind of take a kitchen towel or a cloth and just kind of dab them a little bit, Annie. While we're making the sauce, I need you 2 to take the box grater and grate this tofu into a bowl or something. A bowl is great. They're grating the tofu, but we're gonna make some kind of, are you breaking it into pieces?
It keeps breaking.
Do your best to keep it into small chunks anyway. It's okay if we get a couple of like chunkier pieces, we'll still be able to make that work. So we're making like essentially a wet rub that we're gonna toss the tofu in. I brought tamari, which is just, you were confused over this,
I
right?
was like, I don't know what that is.
It's gluten-free soy sauce.
Oh, okay.
Basically, so it's like it's an equivalent for that for people that are like my wife who are allergic to gluten.
Got it. Okay.
So you've got this barbecue rib rub.
Yes.
What's in this?
Probably paprika and chili powder and.
All the things I just mentioned here.
Yeah, probably like all the things you just mentioned. Yeah.
Let's just use this. This is my version of like a dirty Chinese food takeout meal that's actually not that unhealthy. So let's start with the dry parts of it. So we're just gonna use your rib rub.
Yep.
Rib rub, that's a fun thing to say.
Say it 3 times.
Rib rub, rib rub, rib rub.
You win.
So I'm freestyling it because I would normally do 2 teaspoons of chili powder, half a teaspoon of paprika, and a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. We're also doubling it. So let's do 3 of those. That's a half tablespoon.
That's a half.
Let's do that. And we'll just adjust the liquid to dry mixture once we start mixing things up.
Are we sprinkling this in?
Yeah, I want to do like a half. Do a full teaspoon of that.
So good.
Just, is that like a special fancy garlic powder?
These are our cottage neighbors.
I can smell it from there. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Woo! That has not been sitting in your cupboard for years.
Like that kind of baby spatch?
That's what we want. That's literally a baby spatch. That is the cutest little thing. We need 2 tablespoons in total of the water for this double mix. And then it's going to be the same of this.
So equal amounts water and
tamari. Or soy sauce.
Or soy.
If you don't have tamari. Try to mix it all together and let's just see the consistency of it and if we need to help it out in any way. It should be like a pasty kind of thing.
No, I need it.
That's a nice rub. Oh, that garlic powder is insane. I'm gonna add a little bit more of this rub just to help thicken this. But that garlic, now I know why you like that stuff. I'm gonna get you to get me some of that. All right, kids, I'm gonna put you to work. Bring Neil. Bring that bowl of shredded tofu. Annie, you can pour the sauce over top of here. Maybe pour a little bit, and then let Neil mix it up. What we want is you want this color of tofu to be this color. Okay. So you want to make sure it's evenly. So just pour a little bit on.
And then stir.
Mix some more, stir and pour a little more on. Make sure you get it all. We're gonna just spread this out onto these sheets. So we're gonna use this today for like a tofu fried rice, but you could make this with tacos, right? And
so what would you switch up? Like you'd use like a taco seasoning?
Mix up the seasonings to whatever kind of flavor you want. If you wanted to go Greek with this, you could probably do that, and then serve this with like potatoes or something, right? Any kind of flavors. That's the beauty of the tofu is that it's just like it doesn't really have much of a flavor, right? So it just absorbs all the other flavors.
Would you bake this and then just have this on a plate beside a salad? Or is it always added to something else?
A lot of people that come from eating meat, they think of their plates in like
a picnic plate. Doop, doop,
yeah,
doop.
quarters. It's like the meat goes here and this goes there. Where it's like I think eating, plant-based is more about mixing things together. If I was gonna have tofu just on its own, I'd probably be more likely to like put a really nice marinade on and cut it into sheets, which is how we'll often do it, and just bake it like that. So like barbecue sauce or whatever,
right?
Like a glaze, and then like we've made like a ham type tofu where we'll slit it and then we'll put cloves in it and put like a maple mustard glaze over top of it and bake it like that. And that's the kind of thing you could just slice and have it like that because the cloves kind of infuse it.
I like that idea.
So it's versatile. So you can do that. You can have like the meat goes here, that goes there. But I personally prefer like a bowl type situation where everything's mashed together.
I am all about throw everything in a pot or a pan and call it dinner.
So we're gonna throw these in.
Okay.
These go in for 30 minutes, but we're gonna flip them halfway through. So now we're gonna cut the vegetables for both dishes. The cabbage is all gonna go for the tofu fried rice.
Okay.
So we can take the outer layer off. And then the rest of that just needs to be shredded. Your food processor, does it have one of those things that has like a shredder?
Like a spinny and a shreddy thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's use that because this will save your arms and your sanity.
Okay.
If you don't have like a food processor that has the ability to shred things for you, do it by hand. It sucks a little bit, but I prefer to do this all at once because everything just turns into shreds for the tofu fried rice. So do that with this and the carrots. Neil and Annie?
Yes?
One of you can do that. And then the other person needs to cut up the peppers. Annie will dice the peppers, and you also need to break this down. Now we're gonna move on to making the chocolate chip cookie dough, the chickpea cookie dough. So our protein in it is actually chickpeas. So normally I would, and you would too. I think you usually like make your own.
I do.
So the reason today why I got you to get the canned one is because I want the aquafaba, because we're gonna use that later on to substitute for oil.
What would be a substitute for substituting the aquafaba if you've made your own beans or you cooked your own chickpeas and then you've tossed everything?
It depends on what you're using it for, right? Today I'm using it to put into the ricotta, so it makes it creamy.
Okay.
So for that, you could probably just use vegetable broth, right? But if I'm using aquafaba in baking, it's a replacement for oil, and it's doing the things that an oil would do.
So it's like a lot more versatile than just the liquid that's sitting inside the can.
This is gold. Don't ever throw this out because you can use it. You can make whipped cream out of this.
Does it taste good?
Yeah.
Right? And Annie doesn't like anything. Yeah, it tastes
I was gonna
good.
say kid approved.
So next time you cook your chickpeas,
Yeah.
keep the thing about the liquid that comes from like your cooking liquid.
Yeah.
Is it's usually a bit too watery. Cook it down the stove until it's like slightly more watery than gravy.
And then I keep it to. Do you freeze it? Do you?
You can freeze it. I just keep it in a jar in the fridge.
For how long?
It'll last for at least a week in the fridge. Your nose will tell you when you don't want to eat it anymore.
Oh.
They'll smell you like, ugh.
Okay.
I'll get you to rinse these.
Okay.
And then all we're basically going to be doing is once Neil's done with the food processor, we're going to wash it out real quick, and then we're going to make this in there. And all we're going to do is, we got to turn those in a second.
This.
I'm just telling you to
That
flip
and
it.
that.
Yeah. Everything's happening at once. So already you can see how this is starting to crisp up a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen even more as we start to, I mean, it's kind of like the same as like if you ever made granola. And you can see it just start to like oil on. The other thing you could use aquafaba for is instead of water in this, we could have thrown in some aquafaba, and it'll kind of do what oil does, where it can make it crisp up a little bit. But like for my air fryer, I'll toss like vegetables in aquafaba instead of like oil.
Blown away. Blown away.
Let's get that timer back on for another 15 so we don't overcook that. Now we're gonna make cookie dough. Neil?
Yes.
These chickpeas want to go in the food processor. Go for
We
it.
do?
The trick to a food processor is without putting your fingers in there because the blade wants to cut you,
Yes.
is to just kind of make sure there's an even mixture around so it's all
Okay.
level, but it's pretty good now. Scrape that out. Use the baby spatula.
What is that?
This
Honey.
is, no, it's
Oh, no,
maple
that's
syrup.
not honey.
Tablespoon of vanilla. Do you know how I figure out a tablespoon?
You just dump as much in as you think is a tablespoon.
Nope. Well,
That's
I mean,
what my mom does.
I use.
how you figure out a tablespoon. You use a spoon.
You could. I use the cap.
Oh.
That's
A
not
cat-
a tablespoon, that's a teaspoon.
Say teaspoon. Thank you, Ephraim.
And I don't know if
Teaspoon.
it's exact. It's
That
It's
means
it's
we need
close. It's close enough.
3 caps.
I just need 1 teaspoon.
Oh.
A small T in this book means teaspoon. A big T means tablespoon.
I do the same.
That's how my book works. Okay. Nope, not yet. You're so eager to do that, aren't you, bud?
Yes.
Okay. If you put in 5, you're gonna get the wrong texture.
2.
Watch out.
Oh, the
Tofu.
tofu.
Oh, it's done? Great. Yeah, just pull it out and you can just live
Should I
on the
get
top.
that or no?
It smells so good.
Can I eat it?
The grown-up side. You hear it? The grown-up side of stop asking the same question.
Just like anything with the food processor is just, you want to scrape it down every now and then just to make sure it's nice and consistent. I mean, Neil keeps on asking me if you can have it now. You probably could, but it's just not
Can I
blended.
eat it now?
No.
I'll
Neil?
go now?
I mean, you could. It's just not going to taste as good. Would you like a subpar version of it, or you want the
No.
best version?
Excellence.
I would like the best version,
Wrong way.
but if I can eat something now, that would be great.
Everyone's just going for the chocolate. Go ahead. Go ahead.
They taste different.
There's no cow tears in them. All we're doing now is we're mixing in the chocolate chips. Now I'll put that on top just so that we can kind of blend them in nicely. Just kind of put it over here where there isn't chocolate chips yet. You want to sprinkle just a little bit of salt? Not a ton.
Yeah.
Actually, no,
I'm
I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I would like.
I foresee the future.
Yes.
And make sure there's a good ratio of chocolate to dough. You know what I'm saying? And it's the kind of thing where this is the degree I like it, but you can always add more sweetener.
Oh.
I could use more sweetener.
More vanilla
A little bit more something. Missing a little bit of something.
You can modify this, so you can add a little more sweetener if you like it sweeter. You could swap those out with raisins if you want like a...
That's ridiculous.
I understand, but if you wanted to be a little healthier, you could do that. You could add some cocoa powder to that to make it more of a chocolate.
Ooh,
Right?
so
We've never
many
done that.
ideas.
We've never done it, but you could. Let's put this in the fridge. If you guys want a little bit more, go for it. But otherwise,
Does it need to be covered in the fridge, or it can just sit like that?
covered is probably not a bad idea.
Okay. You mentioned that we were using aquafaba instead of oil,
Yes.
but that's not because it's plant-based.
No, I don't like to cook with oil because I just find that it's really calorie dense.
Okay.
You know, like a tablespoon of oil is 100 calories. Where it's like, that's the same as having like almost 100 raspberries. Or an entire apple or a banana. So for me, when I was losing all my weight, it was one of the things I really cut out because I was just like, well, I'd rather put that into food I can actually put in my body that'll make me full as opposed to oil, which like is nutrient. It's just not efficient nutrient because it's like you don't really taste those calories. They don't fill you up.
Yeah. I mean, I still like my sunflower oil.
That's okay. We're gonna use a little bit of sesame oil today, but that's for flavor.
Right.
That's
okay.
to give it the dirty Chinese food takeout flavor. Okay, so now we're gonna make our tofu ricotta, which is gonna go inside the mix. So I'm missing a few things. I forgot to bring a lemon along with me. We have a million of them on my counter. We're gonna swap in lime juice. I've never actually done it, but it'll give it like the little acidic flavor.
You can have a taste comparison.
It'll be fine. It's gonna be something. And then everything else is just gonna go inside of here. So, and then Neil.
Yep.
Just break this tofu and just rip it into chunks in here.
Okay.
The sizes don't really matter because it's all going to turn into a blob. Maybe a little bit smaller. Go for like that. And you can feel free to crumble it a little bit as you're going. Have fun with it. Destroy it. Everything's going to go in here. So it's going to be this, some tahini. So this would add this is like a fat component, right?
Okay. I'm fascinated by all of this. Okay. It's like science.
And then it really kind of is, right? And then the nutritional yeast will give it the cheesiness. Right?
No, but there's low levels of protein in nutritional yeast as well,
little bit of
right?
protein. There's also B12.
Okay.
So for those people, it's not enough unless you're eating nutritional yeast every single day, but it is a source of B12 as well. 2 tablespoons worth of onion, so I'm just gonna eyeball it. That's good. A little bit of nutmeg.
Okay.
About a 1/4 teaspoon of that. 2 cloves of garlic, roughly. 5 of these. And while you're doing that, I'm just gonna sprinkle some salt in,
3.
and then we'll also throw in some
5.
pepper.
Can I
Good.
do 6 now?
Don't do 6. Well, I mean 6. I mean more cheese the better.
Yes.
Go for it. Go for it.
6.
Do you know
Not
how
did
to
you know.
stop tahini from getting all clumpy at the bottom? Like, is there a trick?
A couple things, just stir it regularly. The other trick that you can do, this is easier when it's full. Store it upside down. And then the next time you use it, store it right side up. And it'll just constantly mix back and forth. Now, this is where I double check my list. Tofu, got it. Now you're bored? You're entertaining yourself? So the one thing we didn't put in that normally I would is probably just like a couple handfuls of spinach. Kale could also work.
If you're using kale because it's so bitter, do you need to like massage it before you chop it in?
That'll do
no,
all the
'cause
work.
it's- Okay.
Because it's going in there, it'll do all the work. Save yourself that effort, right? Do you know how to do it now? Are you an expert?
Yeah.
I think.
Right.
There you go.
So this is a pretty good consistency. If it's too clumpy all together, it won't spread and you'll end up with like a giant blobs of it.
What would make it too clumpy? Like, why would it go
Overmixing
clumpy?
it
Okay.
potentially, but if you just do this as well, like this is gonna be fine. It's gonna be,
What it is.
yeah, we're gonna have to get our hands wet and kind of massage it in there. but
Is there a
it'll be
trick
fine.
to like unclumpifying it or drying it out?
I don't know. Off the top of my head, I couldn't think of it. Like what I would probably do, normally I would pulse it a bit, so it's like
Okay.
but I didn't tell Neil that, so it just went around. But that's okay. We're gonna show you how to make this work too.
Well, and if it's supposed to be like cheese, more clumps the better.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
It's gonna taste delicious. So now we're gonna just cook these really, really quickly, just to
Okay.
help them out in the oven. Otherwise, they might not cook all the way through. That's the problem with a lot of vegetable lasagnas, is they end up really watery because you don't pre-cook the vegetables and they just sweat inside the oven, and they get gross.
That's what happened to my last one.
There you go. Thank you to London Sunshine for providing us this lovely, lovely thing. So we're gonna turn it on. Which one do I want? I'll use the one that's further away. Because safety. Is this the right? Oh, so this one, it doesn't like this pan. There we go. See, it switched right over.
Oh.
That worked out really well. I didn't know if I'd be able to demonstrate that.
So it's similar to a gas range in that it's even heat and it's constant all the time.
Yeah, so just like for those people that like cooking with gas, but you can't get gas where you live, an induction stove is great because it's the same thing. It gives you the heat when you want it and off when you don't. And because look how fast it's already heated up.
It's almost gone.
I know, we're gonna turn it down now to like a medium heat. So this is another example where it's like some people might throw some oil in there. I don't like cooking with oil. You don't need it for vegetables. They have their own oil.
Yeah.
A lot of veggies for a little pan. That's okay. These are also gonna, oh my goodness. These are also gonna cook down. We might need to do this in 2 batches. We're gonna cook these down and then we're just gonna start layering everything. The other beauty of this, watch out Annie, if I take this off, it'll automatically start to power down the heat, right? And as soon as you put it back on, it knows it's there.
Wow.
So it's a bit, there's still a residual heat that will hang over, but it's a safety thing if you walk away and you forgot to turn it off because you're busy in your kitchen. Which most of us are,
I was
right?
gonna say, like that time last week when I burnt. Yeah. I have heating element envy.
You can either cook these in advance, but if not, it's totally fine. You need to make sure you just have
Transparent.
sauce all over it, right? So we don't want them to overlap because they're gonna expand when they cook. I'm gonna put a little bit of sauce along.
You might break.
Okay, and I just want you to, it's like you're painting the noodles, okay?
Okay.
Like a layer of vegetables all over there. Yeah, go for it, do it. So we want half for this layer and half for the next layer. So what I just do is I just like do this. So I kind of like create different sides. So I just know that I'm not using too much of any one side. Dollops of it, go get your hands damp. Just run them under the sink, but don't dry them off. You see how you just run them dry?
You want them wet.
Go get them wet again.
But they're completely wet.
They want to be as wet as you can. Don't wring them dry.
Oh.
Because you want, it's what's gonna help them spread, and
Right now it's dripping all over.
and it's gonna keep them, your hands from getting really all the stuff all over it. This is by dampening them.
Keep your hands clean.
And just kind of spread it out as best you can. You want to just make sure there's a little bit in every single bite you get, and that's why we spread this all around. And we dampen our fingers because they're less messy after. So now what we're gonna do to get ready for the next layer is we're just gonna pour a little more sauce in there, so there's a little bit of sauce underneath the noodle. And then it's just repeating until we get to the top.
Okay.
In which case we'll just put a little more sauce on. And then if you want to use a non-dairy cheese, if you're just making this vegetarian and not vegan, you could use regular cheese.
And actual ricotta.
You could actually use real ricotta, but that's not the point of this channel now, is it?
I haven't made a lasagna in ages.
I helped you make it.
Because it takes so long. Yeah, but this is one of those things where, like, if you have your week of menu, like, recipes ready, while one thing is cooking, you could do all your prepping, chopping for that while it's cooking, and then it's ready to go the next day.
Exactly, that's just it, right?
75 years later.
So it's 8 o'clock at night on a Monday, the Monday after the Friday of cooking. And I forgot that I'm supposed to film my reactions. I would never put broccoli in a vegetable lasagna. This is so good that I don't want to make any more of this video so that I could just keep eating it.
We're gonna make the sauce that brings all of the tofu fried rice flavors together. Half a cup of the tamari. You could also use soy sauce. 2 tablespoons worth of rice vinegar. Just shy of half a cup. This is gonna be our thickener. We're using rice flour here. Normally I would use cornstarch, but you're out of it. So rice flour will work as well. So let's do that first.
Your stirring technique is impressive because
Really?
I would have that halfway over the counter by now. How many did you say?
2 teaspoons.
Duh.
And
Dose.
yeah, and I know this is the lazy way. I could have made like a bit of a slurry with it, but this is gonna be fine.
What's a slurry?
So a slurry is where you just take a little bit of the liquid and you mix the cornstarch in so it's more thicker.
Or rice.
Yeah, so you don't get like
Clumps.
which we might get clumps because I didn't do it properly.
It's okay.
In theory, it comes together quick once all of this stuff. Like if we weren't making the lasagna and the cookie dough and all that other stuff, we would have eaten this hours ago. Food tastes better when you're hungry.
Also true.
So what we're gonna do now is heat up this pot. A wok will work, but a giant pot like this is just as good. We're gonna get the onions, garlic, and ginger going. And we just wanna cook that down until it's like translucent, a little light. So Annie's gonna do that for me. Sticking?
Yeah.
A little water?
Yeah, a little water. Woo! We're gonna add the tofu to this. And basically just stir it around until it's combined. And then we'll keep, thank you. So we're just gonna dump this out here. Keep it it's on standby. And you know what? If you don't get it all out, it's okay, because this is all gonna come right back into this pot in a minute. Now we're gonna dump in all the carrots and the cabbage.
Yes, carrots and cabbage should have been blended in the food blender.
Mixy, mixy, Annie. Okay, you dump this in here.
Yes, sir.
Well, Annie's still pouring it. And then Neil, as soon as your mom's got that in there, let Annie kind of mix it around first.
And then eyeball
Eyeball about half of it, yeah. Do you want me to help you out here?
Yeah, can you help me just...
Yeah, I'll just help support the weight.
Yeah, thank you.
We're gonna throw in a little bit of our sesame oil. Okay, you want to just scrape that out for me? Nope.
Nothing to be
Mostly gonna be-
scraped.
It's just out.
Okay, drizzle the rest of that all over top of the rice. So now once all that is mixed together, you throw some green onions on, some peanuts. You got any peanuts?
Sure do.
And then that's food.
Look at that sesame oil pool.
So let's top this with green onions and peanuts and smash it into our faces.
All right.
Perfect. Beauty.
Really good.
Yeah?
Really, really good. Tofu mostly.
The tofu mostly?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I will never eat mushroom.
I want it to look pretty. But I'm not sad. At all. Oh. Yep. Tofu has a whole new meaning.
And you could put some more lime on there if you wanted to. Add some sriracha, some hot things, whatever you want.
I like some hot things. I can do that.
There you go.
Mmm.
Yeah, do you want to bite from my bowl?
David, are you ready?
We're adding our new cast member, David.
Peanuts are nice with it.
It adds a nice little texture to it.
It does, yeah.
Even though we took forever because we were making a bunch of stuff, like in theory, this is definitely one of those ones that can come together in 30 to 40 minutes because while your rice is cooking, your tofu's baking, you're making your vegetables.
But if you wanted, like if you were, I would think of those like nights where it's like, get home, and then it's swimming, and then it's done, and then it's bedtime. You could you do the tofu ahead of time?
Sure.
Put it in the fridge.
Yeah, because you're gonna
and
heat it up
Yeah.
in the pot.
Okay.
And really, the rice is the same way. Like this is actually ideal for like leftover rice
Yeah.
because it's like takeout style meal.
And like if there's any other vegetables, you can just chuck them in, right? Correct?
Yeah, exactly. Like if
veggies.
if you guys like mushrooms more, I probably would have thrown some mushrooms in this.
Yes, but I don't like mushrooms. So.
Yeah, but broccoli would work in this. Bok choy,
Mhm.
you know. But what I like to do is I would shred it all because I like the idea of like just the texture of it all being like kind of broken up and ripped
I
together.
agree.
But then it cooks more evenly too.
Okay, so we'll smash this and then we're gonna make a really quick dessert. So what's gonna happen is you're slicing the apples. So once those are all ready to go, we're going to heat up this pan and put a little bit of water in. We're not gonna put it up too hot because we don't want the water to evaporate. What do you got for dried fruit?
Cranberries.
Perfect. Okay, we're gonna let that go for like a minute just to let it heat up some more. We want those to get soft.
The apples are...
Break them up, make sure they break it up so they're not all in those stacks that they're currently in, guys. No more stirring. Leave it.
Cinnamon!
Watch out. You've been christened. You are now the spiciest girl in the room. We leave that. Now we come over here. 12 macadamia nuts kernels, 2 large bananas, frozen. Neil, remember how I taught you to measure vanilla?
Yes.
You're gonna do that again in here. It's right there. Just as hard as you can.
Very satisfying.
Eventually this is gonna form a mound. And you're gonna see like 4 little peaks come up. The danger of this is it makes beautiful like ice cream like this, but if you leave it on too long, it'll start to boil your liquids. Yeah, it goes it goes fast enough that if you put water in here, it'll actually start to boil. You can make like fresh soup in here that you could drink right away. So it's like flash cooking it.
What?
Right? So we're gonna give this another minute.
It smells so good.
Okay.
Oh.
Who wants to be a test dummy?
Me.
Oh, it's pretty soft. But is it pretty much ready to go?
Hot.
Is it soft though?
It's soft.
You help make it so you get first taste.
It's just mashed up bananas and nuts.
Wait,
It's good.
you try? Go for it.
Go
Do
for it.
Is it good?
What do you think?
We have enough for everyone. You can always have more after, right?
Boom. Done. Annie, tuck in.
Can I be nice? Amazing.
It is fun ice cream.
It's amazing ice cream.
And no cow tears. There's no cow
No
tears.
cow tears. Just happy, happy ice cream.
Neil, you get a little bit more.
Mmm. Oh, I just want to eat food all the time.
Luckily, your body requires it. For me, like this is a really quick dessert that like ticks off all the boxes of like apple pie with ice cream, but a lot healthier. You don't have the crust. You don't have the fat and oil in the crust.
Or the time it takes to make pastry.
Yeah, and I haven't done it, but I imagine this would be good with pears too.
I think we've done that before.
Pears and ginger.
Yeah.
Here.
Pears and ginger and a
I
little
like the
maple
cranberry.
syrup.
Give
Yeah.
some ice.
Oh.
And bananas are our go-to for like ice cream like this, but you can also just throw in some cocoa powder into this and all of a sudden it's chocolate ice cream. You could use any fruit, it'll make a sorbet, and if you add that macadamia in it, it'll give it the fat. So strawberries, frozen strawberries, any frozen fruit. Well, thanks for having us over to your house.
Thanks for coming and teaching us some tricks.
All right,
Cheers.
Oh, cheers. This is, oh, just the plates. That's better. All right, I'm doing this. Oh, it's on my nose. Thanks again for joining me and my family as we cooked with Emma and her family. And if you are still interested in that induction stove, it is good for 15% off until the end of November, 10% off after that using discount code PBWithJ. And if you've been staring at my beautiful shirt and you want something like this, we have a merch store on my website. The link is down below where you can get shirts like this. You can get mugs and other wonderful things. I even have like a fleece blanket that I love to cuddle with on the couch. Let us know in the comments below if you enjoyed this video and what kind of content you'd like to see from us in the future. And also, if you haven't yet, let us know where you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Speaking of which, YouTube wants you to watch this one next. They think it's right up your alley. It's gonna hit that sweet spot. I know you're probably busy. You gotta get going, but you know, you always have time for one more PB with Jay. Right? It's wholesome.